Okay, so we record these meetings, so I have started that recording. Just give me 1 second, get my screens in order. All right, great. Well, let's get started then. My name is Amy Birch. I'm a traffic engineer and consultant that works for NDOT to help facilitate the management and of this traffic calming program. So I'm here to talk to you all about the traffic calming project on Sharondale Drive, and we have a chat box here. If you want to enter questions, we can address them that way, or feel free to ask questions and we'll address those. But these meetings are recorded so that we can post them on our website. So just want to let you know that. And there we go. Also on the call, we have Jordan Lipsey, who's going to be helping me monitor questions as they come up. So this is our second meeting, and we are going to go over a few, just if you were here on the first meeting, a few background slides that we presented previously in case there's anyone that wasn't here, just to give them a little background information. So what is traffic calming? What are we even talking about? Our neighborhood street traffic calming program focuses on residential streets. So we're talking about installing physical solutions that encourage slower speeds on our residential streets, and we're trying to do this over a significant length of street, not just a spot improvement. And our target is really speed reduction. So we often talk about the 3 E's of traffic calming, which is education. We're educating why we're doing this, what is the device that's meant to slow traffic down. And then there's also enforcement, which is what the police do. We obviously can't possibly have police on every residential street where we have speeding. It would be nice, but it's just not realistic. But these 3 things work together, and what we're really talking about in this program is the engineering of the street, and how do we modify the street or add something to the street to encourage that slower speeds that are appropriate. So one of the main reasons we do this is, let's see, I have some feedback. I'm just going to mute you. There we go. One of the main things that we're talking about when we're trying to slow vehicle speeds and driver speeds is about safety and the city's commitment to Vision Zero. So I'm showing in this graph here, infograph, the correlation between vehicle speed and a pedestrian's chances of survival if they're struck by a vehicle at that speed. And this is really compelling data. It's national data that says that a pedestrian that struck a vehicle by a vehicle that's going 25 miles per hour has an 89% chance of survival. But as that speed increases, like to 35 miles per hour, that the chance of survival goes down to 68%. And then as the speed goes to 45 miles per hour, the chance of survival goes down to 35%. So we're really targeting these residential streets where speeds have gotten high, and we're trying to increase the survivability and prevent crashes at the same time. So this is a very high demand program. We're just showing a snapshot of demand in the program. This map on the right, the pink lines indicate streets that have applied for traffic calming as of when this street was selected in February, which was, we had application for 464 neighborhood streets to have traffic calming. And then the way this program works is we identify about 50 streets per year, typically. 50 streets per year, and we do them in 2 different batches, so 25 and 25. So in the winter of 2023, when Sharondale was selected, we had there were 26 neighborhood streets that were selected out of that 464 neighborhood streets. And we have a prioritization process that we go through to identify which streets have the greatest demand. Sharondale, unfortunately or fortunately, unfortunately had the conditions that said you need traffic calming on this street. And so it was selected, and that's why we're here talking with you about it. Outside of the neighborhood street traffic calming program, the Hub Nashville is a great tool and means of communication with all the different departments within Metro, and you can access that via downloading an app and using that, or going to their website or calling 311. So this is things like street lights are out, the traffic signal's not working, a sign's been knocked down, or you think another sign is needed. Storm grates are clogged and causing flooding in your yard. All that goes through the Hub. You get a service request number that you can follow up on if needed. So it's just a great tool to access the services within Metro Nashville, not just NDOT. So let's go back to Sharondale and talk about the limits of our project. I've highlighted Sharondale on this map. You can see 440 to orient you there. The signal is obviously Hillsborough Road, and then our section of Sharondale that we're talking about is between Hillsborough on the east and Woodlawn on the west, which is an all-way stop. This map comes from our traffic calming online map tracker tool that you can find on our website. And so the legend over here are showing you the pink lines are where we have applications have been submitted for requesting traffic calming. The blue lines, which I don't see any solid blue lines on this map, but that's where we have applied traffic calming that didn't include vertical measures, and then the broken blue lines are the where vertical measures have been installed and construction's been completed. So you're likely familiar with the speed cushions that are on Lombardi and Stokes just across Hillsborough, but also seeing the other streets in the, I guess it's Belmont, Hillsborough neighborhood, Sweetbriar, Beechwood, and Lindell, and on up there, have some speed cushions installed. And then the green lines are other streets that have been selected or in sort of the same place as Sharondale. We're working through the design and so forth, or we're waiting for construction to be completed. But so just wanted to orient you there. That's the limits of our project. Also, I wanted to draw your attention to something that has recently changed for Sharondale. At our first meeting that we had a few months back, we discussed the speed limit on Sharondale. It's posted at 35 miles per hour today, but NDOT went, based on some feedback we heard at that meeting, and also just our examination of the street, NDOT went through a process of studying the street and the speed limit to determine if 35 was the appropriate speed or should it be lowered. And so at the August, I believe it was the August Traffic and Parking Commission meeting, the Traffic and Parking Commission approved NDOT's request to reduce the speed limit on Sharondale. So I know that the signs have not been changed yet, but I followed up on that earlier this week, and that is in the process, and you should be seeing those changes soon. So the speed limit has been reduced to 25 miles per hour. And I hope you all find that that's a positive improvement on your street, and it'll go hand in hand with our recommendations for traffic calming as well. So look for that. So let's talk about the traffic calming measures that we have recommended for Sharondale. This, if you were in our first meeting, this will look pretty familiar because we're We've recommended a series of speed cushions to be installed on the street, and these are the rubberized devices that are drilled into the pavement and are vertical devices that vehicles drive over, and it causes the drivers to slow down as they approach them and as they travel over them. And we space them in series, so several sets along the length of roadway to maintain that slower speed over the length of the street. So I'm showing in these pictures a few different configurations of how these lay out on the street. It really depends on what the condition of the street is. Is it a wide street? Does it have pavement markings, center lines, or does it have shoulder, and so forth? So the top left picture is pretty much what exactly what we're looking at for Sharondale, which is one cushion in each lane. These are centered in the lane, and they're paired with these warning signs that you see, speed cushions and an advisory speed sign. These devices are 6 feet wide, so they're wide enough that passenger vehicles can't straddle them, but larger emergency response vehicles are not affected as much when traveling over them. So that's one reason why NDOT likes these devices, and we also get great feedback on how well they work, and for the most part, residents really like them. So the picture on the bottom left is just giving you a profile view of how they look on the road, but they're at their highest point, they're 3 inches off the pavement. And this one is also 10.5 feet long, which is the same dimension that we are recommending for Sharondale. You may, as you encounter these on other residential streets, you may see them paired with these white flexible delineators. We use those sometimes to keep drivers from driving around them when we have a wide shoulder, or a parking lane, or bike lane. So you may see that from time to time. They also have pavement markings on them so that they are reflective at night and visible to drivers. So like I said, we typically install these in a series, so spaced around 500 feet apart, so that we maintain a consistent speed along the length of the street. So over a few months, or earlier this year, actually, NDOT was doing some before-after data analysis of deployments of speed cushions on residential streets. So we know how these are working here in Nashville, not just the national data. And what we're finding, and these two graphs are showing, is on the left is the average speed comparison, and on the right is the 85th percentile speed comparison. So the average speed we were seeing over, I think we looked at 6 streets that we have applied these cushions at, and found that the average speed went from 31 miles per hour on residential streets to 22 miles per hour. And then the 85th percentile speed, the before and after, was 37 to 25 miles per hour, which is really our target speed. That's typically the speed limit on most residential classification streets that we have in Nashville. So this data shows that they're doing their job, and we're measuring these not directly at the device, but between devices. So just to give you some perspective there. So now I'm gonna get more into the plan to show you more details about the plan and where these devices are recommended. This is just the cover sheet of our plan set, and we're going to drill closer in on these other 2 sheets, but just to give you some perspective, Woodlawn is up on the left side of your screen, and then Hillsborough is on the right, and obviously we're showing the Linden Waldorf School there. And what we've recommended is 4 sets of these speed cushions, and they're spaced roughly 500 feet apart. One thing that we have to look out for driveways and street intersections when we're identifying where to place these, as well as grade. We don't have a grade issue on Sharondale. It's relatively flat. But those are some limitations and kind of feed into how we lay out the design. But that's the overview. And then we're going to, again, to orient you, Woodlawn is on the left side of the screen. So we're working from the west side of the street towards the east side of the street. So we're recommending a couple hundred feet away from the all-way stop would be your first set of speed cushions around address 2503, just past that driveway to the east. And we're also showing the speed cushion warning signs that go with the cushions so that you get that warning that you're approaching the device. And then another set on the east side of 22nd Avenue South, right around address 2145. And I think this is our greatest distance between, and it's because of driveways and so forth, but still a good spacing. And then we have another set. My addresses aren't showing up here, but it's just on the east side of White Oak Drive. And then the next set is kind of on the other side of that little curve there at around address 2110. And that's, and again, each set is paired with a warning sign on both approaches. So this is the configuration of how it will lay out on the street in the pavement. So the pavement width on Sharondale is 20 feet wide. And so what we do is we try to center these in the lane. So what you're seeing is 3 feet between the cushions. Each cushion is 6 feet wide. Then we have about 1.5 feet of width on either side. Then the white edge line and about 1 foot on the other side of the edge line. So parts of the street have the white edge line now, and then it's sort of faded as you on the west side of the street. Mr. Dupree says we were talking earlier. We've looked into when the street or if the street is planned to be repaved, and it has been identified on a future paving list so that sometime in the next 3 years, the street is expected to be repaved. So we will do that coordination at that point, but that's when the striping would also be put back after the paving. So this is really a narrow street. 20 feet of pavement is pretty narrow, and then if we have the white edge line on the outside, that even narrows it even more to 18 feet, and then the cushion. So all that kind of works together to get drivers to drive slowly on the street. So I'll pause there if there are any questions about the plan, and then we can go into the next steps in the program if there are. Oh, we have some comments. Good news about the speed reduction. Yep, great. And we have someone else join.
I have a question. The speed cushions are 6 feet wide. Can a car straddle the speed cushions?
A standard passenger car or even pickup truck cannot straddle them. They're the dimensions are such that those vehicles still have to go over them. You will see drivers try to do one wheel on and one wheel off. Quite frankly, that is more uncomfortable than driving straight over them. They're tapered a little on the edges, so to make that kind of a smooth ride, but still effective in slowing people down. So no, passenger cars cannot straddle them, and we space them, like the spacing between them, that 3 feet, and the edge, that the spacing between the cushion and the edge of pavement. We try to measure that such that people can't go around them or go drive straight down the center of the road and miss them. So we try not to make that gap too wide that drivers could shoot the gap between the cushions.
Thank you.
They are, I'll say again that they are designed such that, emergency response vehicles that do have the wider wheelbase aren't affected as much to go over them, and that we see that as a positive. That fire trucks they're able to straddle them a little bit.
One more question. I notice on some streets where there's speed cushions that the signs, ostensibly warning signs, sometimes they're located where they're useful, sometimes they're not there. Sometimes the signs say speed cushion ahead, and they're positioned right by an existing speed cushion. Is there any thought given to that?
Yes. Sometimes I don't know about the ones that say ahead and are right next to it, but sometimes we do try to decrease sign clutter, if that might be a concern, not to put
Yes.
so many signs, but we also want to have a sign, at least, when we have cross streets, we try to have a sign at every device or just in advance of every device, so that no matter where you came from, you get to see a warning sign before you encounter the cushion or as you encounter the cushion. So yes, this plan has quite a lot of signs because there are some cross streets that come in. And another thing that we're sort of learning as we've implemented this in on a lot of neighborhood streets is we'll actually put the sign right at the cushion, which deters drivers from driving in yards to go around it. You'd be surprised, but some people will go off-roading in order to miss the cushion. And so we do, you will see a lot of that, that the sign is right with the cushion.
And you use signs on poles rather than stencils on the street because the signs have a longer life?
I can't really speak to we haven't really talked about doing stencils on the street. So they do have a longer life. The signs certainly will last longer, and they also have the added benefit of their placement can deter the people from going around them, and pavement markings do wear out. And Any other questions about the plan? All right, I'll move on to our next steps then, and just a flow chart of what this program is and how it works. But it starts with an application, so I'm kind of going back. But there was a period when the street was applied for. It got selected through our data-driven prioritization process. We had our first meeting a few months back, and then we did the design, the more detailed design that I just presented. Now we're here at meeting 2 to present that to you and talk to you about the next steps of the program, which includes our online ballot and then moves into construction. So the balloting would be, if we're ready to move forward with this plan and project, the balloting is the next piece in moving this project to the next level. So what we have, what NDOT does is an online balloting period where we send postcard mailers. An example is up in the top left corner to all the property owners along the length of the street in the affected section of the street. So for this street, it would be between Woodlawn and Hillsborough. And so these ballot cards go out. It has a QR code that links to the online ballot, so you can vote online straight from your smart device, or you can there's also a web address if you want to do it, log in and do it on your computer. The ballot is open for 6 weeks, so we have a start and an end time. And that's posted on the top of the card as well, so you know when you get it in the mail how long you have to vote. And you can vote yes or no. And what we're looking for in order for the project to be successful and move forward to the next phase of construction is that 66% of the respondents to the vote vote yes. So I want to clarify, it's not 66% of the property owners on the street, it's 66% of those that vote. So like a regular election. Yes, Councilmember Gadd.
Hey, thank you so much also for getting the information over me to tonight.
I'm glad you're able to join.
I'm a little slow on onboarding with this with the Google email address, so it's been a challenge, computer and everything.
Yeah, and we record these meetings, so I just want to let you know.
Yeah, and I'll look forward to catching up. But for the voting, and so anyone in the area can vote, or I'm just thinking about if I share out information in a newsletter, is it just anyone, or are you primarily focused? Yeah, this is the question you're answering right now.
Yes, we have a ballot zone, and this is, same for every street, is that we'll identify the eligible properties that can vote, and those are the ones that get the postcard in the mail with their unique IDs. So it's residential properties. We also allow votes from churches and schools that are on that property, but it's properties that have a frontage on this street. So for this particular street, we're showing what that ballot zone is, so you can see that. And then also owners that have multiple properties still only just get one vote. So we will modify that as we send those mailers out so that there's only one vote for property owners that have multiple properties. And then vacant properties, we don't send those postcards out, and then commercial businesses are not eligible. So it's primarily residential properties. I'm going to go back here, make sure I got all of this answered, but I think so. So again, 66% of the respondents, if they vote yes within the 6-week window, then we'll move forward with ordering the materials. And on these postcards, they look a lot like the ones that you get for the meeting notices, but there's also a phone number. So if there's someone that receives their postcard and they're not able to vote online, there's a phone number to NDOT that you can reach someone to either help or take your vote that way. And I think that's it. Again, then we at the end of the 6 weeks, we will post the results of the ballot on our website, and so you can go there a few days after the closing of the ballot, and you'll have that your answer there of whether it was successful. But we don't post individual results or anything. It's just the percent of what the vote result was, how many in favor and how many against. All right. So our next steps, assuming that we want to move forward with this project as we presented it, our next steps will be to prepare those mailed postcards and get those out in the next couple of weeks. And then that 6-week balloting window, and then we, if the project is favorable and we have the support that we're looking for, the 66%, then NDOT moves forward with ordering materials for the project and then installing and constructing the project. So that's combined, that's about 8 months. We are running a little behind, I'll say, in our construction projections, but internally, our program is working to work out the kinks and get these out faster. So those are our goals, though. I see some questions. We'll start with council member. You have no question? Your hand is raised. Okay, sorry about that. I don't know how to turn it off. Maybe it's still there. Did you have any other questions?
I had a question.
Okay.
Sorry. So vacant houses can't vote. How about houses under construction?
Oh, yeah. Um,
How about me?
right. Um, I can't answer you. I will, we do typically send those, to the property owner. So, thinking back, yes, those would, if they're under construction and there's an owner listed, but if it's listed as a vacant property on the metro property maps, then it wouldn't be. But it's I would assume your house is probably listed as single family, like.
Right. It is. Thank you.
Are there any other questions that we have? We
One more, excuse me, Amy, one
sure.
more question. Are they ever voted down?
that was about to be what I was going to tell you, is that they are. We have had some streets that did not have a successful ballot, but we have balloted well over 100 streets, probably 110 or 20 streets now, and our successful rate is 93 or 4%, I think. It's, for the most part, they are favored, and you know, some of them there's not support, and that's okay. What happens if a ballot does not reach the 66%? What we do is come up with a less intrusive plan that includes usually marking signs, maybe radar feedback signs instead of the vertical measures, because we don't, NDOT does not require a ballot for traffic calming measures that don't include the vertical measures. We just ballot when a street requires, or when the recommendation is for vertical measures like speed cushions and speed tables. So we wouldn't just do nothing. We would just come back with something that's not as robust.
Thank you.
Hi, can I ask a question, please? Sorry,
course.
I'm sorry I'm late to the meeting, and you may have covered this already. A main concern that I have is about the speed bumps and noise and their location in relation to various properties, including driveways. Do you have a plan at this point that can be reviewed so we can see, you know, so I can see exactly where, if I've got one right in front of my house, or where they're going to be located on the street?
Yes. So I'll just go over just a bit here that we've identified 4 locations. So for a series of 4 along the length of the street, and we try to space them around 500 feet apart to get that consistent speed along the length. So we do have a more zoomed in here. So to orient you, Woodlawn is on the left here, the always stop, and then as you go to the right, we're going east. So we have a set around this address, 2402, and that's between Woodlawn and 23rd. And then over here on the sort of the middle of the street, we have another location at 2145. And I'll go back and I'll say that we identify these and space these such that we're staying away from driveways. We're not going to put one at the back of a driveway, or, you know, right in front of a driveway. We try to place these 10 to 15 feet away, so that when you're backing out of a driveway, you're not backing onto the device. You're able to get out.
And I can't spot it, but where's 23rd Ave on here? Those numbers are not near me, but
This is 23rd right here. Can you see my
okay, so there is one between 23rd and Woodlawn.
Yes, there
Okay.
is one between 23rd and Woodlawn.
Okay, and I'm sorry, it's fuzzy, so can you point to that 23rd Street again, please?
Yes, right here.
I see, okay.
So there's one house that's on the corner. Its address is actually on 23rd. And then, so that one
It's
is
the next house over, down toward Woodlawn from
between,
there.
it's between, yeah,
Okay.
towards Woodlawn from there. Exactly.
And can you just tell me also what information do you have about noise? Because you know, my wonderment is two things. One, I mean, that's traffic coming down Woodlawn, from Woodlawn down Sharondale towards us will go over that speed hump before they get to us. But my guess is that with a long straightaway like this, there's and no other speed hump down until you get all the way down toward, it looks like all the way down toward Hillsborough Road, that what drivers are going to do is they may slow down to go over the speed hump, but then they will accelerate like they always do down Sharondale. So there's also the noise, there's both the noise of going over the hump and the noise of cars accelerating after they go over a hump. What kind of information do you have about that? What level of concern there is? How's that mitigated, or is that just a sort of fact of life of this sort of traffic calming?
There is, sure, there is some noise and sound associated with vehicles going over them. I would encourage you to, you know, go over to Lombardi or Stokes and see what that is like, because it's right next door. But we don't get real complaints about that, to my knowledge. And we've deployed these on all sorts of streets all over the county. But it is something that is raised sometimes as concern in these meetings, but we haven't heard so much about it after. But yeah, I would certainly encourage you to check out some of the adjacent locations. And when you said earlier about the long straightaway, I just want to clarify, this is half the street I'm showing on this figure, and then we have the other half down here. So we have 4 sets along the length.
I see.
And those are stationed about 500 feet apart. And the reason we do that is to kind of maintain a consistent speed. So drivers aren't braking and slowing down fast for one device and then speeding up because they don't see another one for a long period of time. They can see these as you approach the next one.
Gotcha. And are there those like there are on Lombardy over there? I think they have painting on the road, some paint on the road ahead of them, on either side of them.
Paint on the. I think Lombardy has like the lines.
Yeah, they have like
As you
lines coming up to it that expand as you get up to the.
These are we're not having those here. We have not recommended those. These are they do have, like this picture at the top left, if you see that, they do have paint on them, white paint arrows on them to kind of show the direction of travel. And that also offers reflectivity for at night. And then we also have them paired with signage at the device to show the speed cushion, the yellow warning sign with the advisory speed plaque.
Gotcha. Okay.
Your question from Lyndon? You have a question?
Calvin?
Yes,
Yeah.
from Lyndon.
Hi. So
You're from the school.
I am. So
Great.
I've been on the phone this entire time. That's my cell number, 773. And I've been trying to speak, but couldn't because I've been on the phone. As a matter of fact, in that. Is that better?
I can hear you.
Can y'all hear me? Okay, I had the feedback, so I apologize for that. But you guys can hear me. Nonetheless, so I have a question. So you mentioned earlier, I was listening to everything, and you mentioned that you guys are going to send out the flyers for organizations and residents to vote. So because we occupy space on Trinity Presbyterian's land, would we each get a vote for that, or will it just be one for both of us? Because we're technically 2 different entities.
Yeah. Oh no, I think I'm getting feedback. Here we go. I need to look at that, but I think if it's on one parcel, our policy is 1 vote per property. So it would go, these ballots are mailed to the property owner's address.
Got it.
So whatever's on Metro's parcel viewer map, that's where the postcard would go. So if it's Trinity's property, then it's probably going to them.
Okay, well, we have a separate address as well, but that's fine, and we'll figure it out. Whatever we get, that's fine. It'll be the same for both of us. It's not like one of us wouldn't do it. Another quick question is that we currently have two flashing lights that the school installed, from my understanding, a few years back. Will those need to be taken down, or you guys would be able to put your signs in between? It really doesn't matter.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. We would not remove your signs, no.
Okay, fair enough. Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions about the plan or the process going forward? Todd has another raised hand, is that right?
Yes, really quickly. I know another traffic calming device or approach that's been discussed is painting white lines down the side of the road to make the lanes narrower. Is there anything happening with that?
So what we think is that there's like faded white lines on Sharondale. You know, maybe they were there at one point.
Maybe.
And so this is our recommendation, is that so the whole street is 20 feet wide. So that is technically 10 for each side, each direction of travel, but we would want the white edge line, and narrows it a little bit to really 9 feet of travel lane. And so you have that 1 foot of shoulder. So this is how we would recommending and proposing to lay out the cushions. So standard, typically we have 10-foot lanes. So this would be a little bit narrower.
That'd be narrower than that. And as I can understand how that could help with driver speed, keeping it down. But does it raise any safety concerns for drivers and pedestrians beyond that? I mean, it's a very narrow lane. You've got to be, you know, and you've got a double yellow line between you. So
no, we find that narrow lanes, you know, as long as they're not too narrow, are safe and good for vehicular travel, reducing speeds. You know, 1 foot is not a ideal space to walk in, certainly, but with lacking sidewalks, that's what we can do with. But
yeah.
I'm not intending this to be a pedestrian travel lane or anything, but.
Right, but is that as narrow as you could go?
Yes.
You wouldn't consider going to an 8-foot lane, for example?
No, I don't think we would.
Yeah, okay. All right. Well, thank you. Thanks.
Yes. Some of you may have missed it if you joined late, but I did announce earlier that following our first meeting that we had about this street, NDOT did a speed study and determined that they wanted to have the speed limit reduced on Sharondale. And so they took it through and requested that officially through the Traffic and Parking Commission, and that was approved. And so the speed limit has been reduced to 25 miles per hour on Sharondale. So that works hand in hand with the speed cushions and the striping and everything. So you should be seeing that speed limit sign change pretty soon, maybe next week or so. That's I hope you find that to be helpful. And also we talked a bit about the paving, I think, so that this street is identified on a 3-year paving list. You know, that's, you know, subject to change, but we will coordinate accordingly regarding the installation of when we're ready to move this one forward and install it, and where that lies on the paving list and so forth. So we will handle that as we get there. We don't know now if it's, you know, if it will be repaved next year or 2025 or 2026. So, all right. Have our contact information here that I had up earlier. And then this QR code or this web address, trafficcalming.nashville.gov, is a wealth of information about the program. So That's where you will find links to the ballot results after the ballot closes. We will post those. There's also links to these recorded meetings. All of our traffic calming meetings are recorded and posted, so you can go there. Also, you will find the design plans, just these that we've presented here. They will be posted on this website. So they can be viewed before, if anyone is unfamiliar with what this is, what they're getting in the mail when they get this ballot postcard. Hopefully they've already received 2 meeting cards and are somewhat familiar, but there's access to the plans and they're posted online. And direct from the ballot, online ballot, there's a link that you can click from there to view the plans. So they're easy access that way too. You don't have to hunt them down. So that's all we have. Also have NDOT socials there if you want to follow along for all the great things they're doing with new sidewalks and Vision Zero projects. Lots of info there. So I'm getting good feedback from this group as far as wanting to proceed with sending the ballot mailers, and we like the plan. Let's get it out to a vote. So unless anyone says otherwise, we'll move forward with sending those ballot postcards out. And all right, seeing
Good
some
deal. Thank you.
head shakes and great.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Well, if there's no other questions, I'll let you get back to your evening, and we appreciate your time, and let your neighbors know to look for their postcards and vote when they come out in a couple of weeks.
Very much.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Have a good evening.
You too.